Last but not least, wholly owned subsidiary. In a wholly owned subsidiary, the firm owns 100% of the stock. Establishing a wholly owned subsidiary in a foreign market can be done two ways. The firm either can set up a new operation in that country, often referred to as a greenfield venture, or it can acquire an established firm in the host nation and use the firm to promote its products. There are several clear advantages of wholly owned subsidiary. First, when firms' competitive advantage is based on technological competence, a wholly owned subsidiary will often be the preferred entry mode because it reduces the risk of losing control over that competence. Many high-tech firms prefer this entry mode for overseas expansions. Second, a wholly owned subsidiary gives a firm tight control over operations in different countries. This is necessary for engaging in global strategic coordination, which using profit from one country to support competitive attacks in another. Third, a wholly owned subsidiary may be required if a firm is trying to realize locations and experience curve economies. In contrast, establishing a wholly owned subsidiary is generally the most costly method of serving a foreign market from a capital investment standpoint. Firms doing this must bear the full capital cost and risk of setting up overseas operations. The risks associated with learning to do business in a new culture are less if the firm acquired an established host country enterprise. However, acquisition raises additional problems, including those associated with trying to marry divergent corporate cultures. This problem may more than offset any benefit derived by acquiring an established operation because the choice between greenfield venture and acquisition is such an important one. We will discuss this later in the later chapters. Firms often expand internationally to earn greater return from their core competencies, transferring the skill and products derived from their core competency to foreign markets where indigenous competitors lack those skills. The optimal entry mode for this firm depends to some degree on the nature of their core competencies. A distinction can be drawn between firms whose core competency is in technological know-how and those whose core competency is in management know-how. Now let us look to the first, technological know-how. If a firm's competitive advantage is based on control over proprietary technological know-how, licensing and joint venture arrangements should be avoided if possible to minimize the risk of losing control over that technologies. Thus, if a high-tech firm set up operations in a foreign country to profit from one core competency in technological know-how, it will probably do so through a wholly owned subsidiary. This rule should not be viewed as hard and fast. However, sometimes a licensing and joint ventures arrangement can be structured to reduce the risk of licensees or joint ventures partners expropriating technological know-how. Another exception exists when a firm perceives its technological advantage to be only transitory when it expects rapid imitation of its core competency technologies by competitors. In such cases, the firm might want to license its technologies as rapidly as possible to foreign firms to gain global acceptance for its technology before the imitation occurs. Such a strategy has some advantage, By licensing its technology to competitor, the firm may deter them from developing their own, possibly superior technologies. Further, by licensing its technologies, the firm may establish its technology as the dominant design in the industries. This may ensure a steady stream of royalty payment. However, the attraction of licensing are frequently outweighed by the risk of losing control over technology, and if this is a risk, licensing should be avoided. Next, we look into the management know-how. The competitive advantage of many service firms is based on management know-how. For example, McDonald's and Starbucks. For such a firm, the risk of losing control over the management skill to franchisees of joint ventures partners is not that great. This firm's valuable assets is their brand new and brand names are generally well protected by international law pertaining to trademarks. Given this, many of the issues arising in the case of technological know-how are of less concern here. As a result, many service firms favor a combination of franchising and subsidiary to control the franchisees within particular country or regions. The subsidiary may be wholly owned or joint ventures, but most service firms have found that joint ventures with local partners work best for the controlling subsidiaries. A joint venture is often politically more acceptable and bring a degree of local knowledge to the subsidiaries. The greater the pressure for cost reduction are, the most likely a firm will want to pursue some combination of exporting and wholly owned subsidiaries. By manufacturing in those locations where factors conditions are optimal and then exporting to the rest of the world, a firm may be able to realize substantial location and experience curve economies. The firm might then want to export the finished product to marketing subsidiaries based in various countries. These subsidiaries will typically be wholly owned and have the responsibility for overseeing distribution in their particular countries. Setting up wholly owned marketing subsidiary is preferable to joint venture arrangement and to using foreign market agents because it gives the firm tight control that might be required for coordinating a globally dispersed value chain. It also gives the firms the ability to use the profit generated in one market to improve its competitive position in another market. In other words, firms pursuing global standardization or transnational strategies tend to prefer establishing wholly owned subsidiaries. This is the part where it shows the greenfield venture versus acquisitions with their pros and cons. You may refer the table below to understand the pros and cons of both greenfield venture and acquisitions. This is the final part of this chapter, whereby you can see the integration of entry mode strategy with the scaling strategies. You may refer the diagram below, where it shows the combination of the scaling strategy with the entry mode strategies. Thank you.